Lucis Trust, a non-profit, non-political, and non-sectarian organization on the roster of the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations, and concerned with the establishment of world cooperation and goodwill, presents Inner Sight with your host, Robert Anderson. He, with Sarah and Dale McKechnie, President and Vice President of Lucis Trust, will discuss philosophical and spiritual topics essential to everyday life. Now here's your host, Robert Anderson.
Welcome. Inner sight is simply seeing that which is always present, but not yet fully recognized. You have, within you, the ability to see yourself and the world around you in a new way, with new eyes. So, stay with us, and together we'll look at the world and ourselves with inner sight. Our topic for today, service, a law of the soul. Before we explore this topic, I'd like to say a few words about Alice Bailey, founder of the Lucis Trust. Lucis Trust sponsors this show. Alice Bailey wrote 24 books of esoteric philosophy, and those 24 books are the main inspiration for the dialogue that you hear on this show. The following thought is also from the works of Alice Bailey. Service is the spontaneous effect of soul contact. It's a soul urge, the outstanding characteristic of the soul. Alice Bailey says, service is an urge. I've always thought service is something you do. What's the difference?
I think it's probably a question of perspective, because service does need to be manifested in outer expression, which implies doing something to manifest your ideals and your beliefs. But that is really the effect. The action is really the effect. What matters is motivation, intention, and that has to do with consciousness. So Alice Bailey said that service is really an urge of the soul. And the title of our program is Service, a Law of the Soul. Interestingly, the writings of Alice Bailey say that the law of service is one of three great sciences of the spiritual life. You might not think of the spiritual life as a science, but in fact it is, and all science has laws that undergird it. Those three sciences are the science of meditation, the science of the Antakarana, which is a Sanskrit word for the bridge in consciousness that joins or unites the soul and the subjective realm with the outer person or personality. And the third science is the science of service. It's a science in the sense that it operates according to specific laws and principles that, when they are put into practice, release an energy of the soul in outer manifestation. That's really what we're talking about when we talk about service as the soul views it.
And of course the service of the soul is being a reflection of God himself. It's because when God created this world, this universe, he did so as a great service, and it's sometimes referred to as the great service. It's a service to the plan, service to the greater plan of the solar system, let's say, and it's a service to the lesser lives, or the very substance that is here for us to redeem and uplift and make to purify. And so all of this is involved and passed on through the soul, and then from the soul on down to the personality nature. So it's a great act of service that everyone in the world is involved in, whether they realize that or not.
Service is also a law because it's inevitable, you could say unavoidable, and that's because the soul is really, in its essence, relationship. there is no my soul and your soul. There is only the soul. The soul is one. The soul is unified. There are no individuated souls in the sense of relationship as the soul perceives it. We are one. We are one humanity. We are one world. We are expressions of one great divine life. And the soul is the awareness of that interrelationship, we could say. The soul is the consciousness of our oneness. So to the soul, service is inevitable, and it's an urge because it's an expression of what is known without question to the soul, that we are one. That realization automatically expresses as service. The one soul is the realization that we have impact on every other being, not only every other human person, but every being on earth is interrelated. And service is the awareness of that interrelationship and the impact that it implies that we each have on every other living thing.
And this whole impulse, this great soul urge, is something that will, well, in fact, it already is becoming much more of an urge in humanity. We're finally getting the point, and the urge is working its way through into human consciousness.
It really is.
And you can see it in the world, because the way the service organizations and philanthropic groups and so much of that is coming to the surface now and is actually coming into expression. And this is all as a result of the urge of the soul.
And we could say it's also probably linked to the incoming energies of the new age, which are oriented toward service, toward group relationship, the age that we refer to as the Age of Aquarius. The new age, it's one in which the realization of service will become more and more dominant. A friend of mine was saying that she drove by her college recently and saw a sign reminding students of their preparation in college for service. That's wonderful. It's in the ethers, it's in the air, I think, the realization that we each can be of service. But probably what needs clarification is what service really is, because so often it's misconstrued as being a busybody, unfortunately, or doing good. Do-gooders are often identified as people who really make a lot of trouble, and we don't mean that.
No, it's the do-gooders sometimes can feel that they know
what's best
for the other person, for the needy, or for whomever they're trying to serve, and they usually end up causing more trouble, perhaps, or just they're going at it to make themselves feel good, because they come away from it and say, well, I've done my part. And so it's the very too much of the personality is injected into the service. And one of the objectives, you see, because it is a soul urge, one of the objectives here is to enable that person to let go of the little personality, to the little self, the little ego. It isn't the ego that serves, it's the inclusiveness of the soul that really should be the server, and that should be the quality that comes through. So it isn't your little ego that stands out, but you simply see a need and fill it.
Maybe on the most basic level, we could say that service is all effort that's done for the common good. And in that sense, that means that the work of the military, of the police, of firefighters, of teachers, of bus driving, of garbage collectors, they are all serving the common good. And that is a type of service. It's done for the collective well-being. I don't know how often it's understood in those terms. I hope the people who are giving that service realize they're serving the common good, and I hope those who receive the benefits of their service see it in that way too. Increasingly, I think when the reality of the common good, of the impact